This conference will now be recorded.
Right, now we know we are on camera and everything. So thank you very much for joining, and we'll talk about some online marketing today. And I'm looking forward to any questions that you might have. Why doesn't this work? There. So my name is Elias, and I am the owner of the company ENSPYRE. And about 25 years ago, when I was a student at my university, I was working at the student at the library at university, and my boss came to me and he said, "Elias, we need a website for our university." And I had no clue what he was talking about, but he gave me a big, thick book with all the classes and everything about the university. Um, and then he gave me three pieces of paper with stuff on it that I had no idea what it was. And it happened to be HTML tags. And from that, I had to figure it all out myself to make a website. And I did. And ever since, I have been working with websites and with online marketing of various ways. And then 20 years ago, I came to Taiwan. And 18 years ago, I founded this company, ENSPYRE. And ENSPYRE mainly does, our biggest income comes from telemarketing, B2B telemarketing. We work for companies like Oracle, eBay, Lotien, basically, all the big IT companies. And we also do phone answering. And for the last 3 years or so, we are also doing digital marketing for a bunch of companies. So I have my digital marketing team with me here, Doris, Madeline, Isery. So they are also here if I need some help with answering specific questions. Maybe some of you also know me because I wrote a book called How to Start a Business in Taiwan, which a lot of foreigners use when they get started here. So now when we're talking about online marketing, I first wanted to start with kind of talking about some of our customers and what we're doing for them and so on. So the first company I wanted to talk about is company called Folcrom. They are a maybe 30-year-old company for the last 16 years. They've been manufacturing these hospital bedside arms you see in the picture. Basically an arm with a computer on it, and they make the arms. So for the last 16 years, they've been selling these, and they only had one single customer. Uh, one single company bought those things and then shipped them around the world. So they had absolutely no knowledge about their own customers in any way. Um, and then that company went out of business. So now they needed to develop a way to talk directly to their customers. So they came to us, and they had a website already, but no matter what you searched for, that website would not pop up in any way or form. So now, maybe 6 months later, what we have helped them to do is to make sure that if somebody is searching for information about their type of products, uh, they pop up in top 5, maybe number 1. And in about 6 months, we have gotten them enough leads that it's kind of equivalent to maybe half a year's production or so. Another customers I wanted to talk about is a law firm. So they have a website called Investor Immigration Taiwan, and they are targeting Hong Kongers who wants to move to Taiwan to be investors here, to immigrate as investors. And we've been working for them for about 6 months as well, and they rank quite well now for English keywords. And we're working very diligently to try to get them ranking for Chinese keywords. So, for example, we have identified that every month there's about 2,000 people that in Hong Kong that go online and they search specifically for how to immigrate to Taiwan as an investor. And those are really the 2,000 people that we are targeting with our online marketing, with ads and SEO. I will explain what SEO is later. Now, we also, like I said, we're a telemarketing firm. So we are also doing telemarketing. We're calling companies, Hong Kong lawyers, Hong Kong CPAs, and trying to help our client to set up partnerships with them. So now let's start talking about online marketing. And I would say that the most fundamental thing you need to do with online marketing is to set up tracking and evaluations. So as people are maybe looking for you or finding you via social media like Facebook, LinkedIn, they might be searching for you on Google, or you might be reaching them with emails or things like that. You want to have things set up in such a way that all of that is tracked, and every click from these sources to a website and then onto a contact form, all of that is tracked. And you want to use a tool like, for example, Google Analytics. There are others, but Google Analytics is pretty much the norm around the world. And with analytics, we can then also make sure that we know exactly how many people you're reaching, how many percent of them are actually staying on your website, looking at all the content that you've written, and how many of them are contacting you. Not doing this would be silly, and you know, if you have a website today that you can't answer the questions about, you know, how many people came to my website last month and how many percent of them didn't contact me, you should really go and sign up for this right away. And you know, tracking isn't just for your website, also your emails. I'm sure most companies today are still sending emails, and you should know, of course, how many emails you're sending. But you should also know how many people are opening them, okay? How many people are clicking on links, and what links are they clicking on? You know, let's say you have a newsletter and it has 3 different articles in it. Which one of those articles are people clicking on most? Well, that will, you know, tell you a lot of information about what information people are interested in, right? And then, of course, how many of those clicks turned into leads or sales? If you're not evaluating what you're doing, then you're acting blind. And same thing with social media. You know, most of you could probably answer, you know, let's say how many followers your Facebook page has. But actually, that's not a very important number. You know, if you, let's say you have 1,000 followers on Facebook and you post something, you know, Facebook will only show that post to maybe 100 people. The other 900 people will never see that post unless you work hard at increasing the impressions and the interactions that you're getting, right? So you need to keep track of, for every post and every ad that you're putting out there, is it interesting people? Are they really, you know, commenting on it? Are they liking it, and so on? Because those are the people that you are actually connecting with. That those are the people that might start having a different opinion about your company. And then, of course, you want to track on from these interactions how many people are clicking onto your website, and then same thing, leads or sales. It's very important that you are evaluating. Another thing, and you might again think that this is very basic, but you should be using a customer relationship management system. ENSPYRE did a survey a few years ago, and we figured out that only about 20% of companies in Taiwan use a CRM system. Quite a few more used Excel, just writing down lists of customers, but Excel is not a good solution for keeping track of, for example, how many times you're contacting with a person, what they are saying, and so on. Now, there are many great CRM systems out there, but 2 that we have worked with, and you know, that both have free versions, is HubSpot and Insightly. And of course, one of the great things with these type of software is that, you know, when somebody goes on your website and they, you know, leave a message, you can have that message go directly into your CRM system, so you never, you know, lose out and you never miss following up on a customer information request. Then on to another very fundamental part of online marketing, keyword research, right? In the perfect world, you will have a potential customer of yours going to Google, typing in a keyword, and your website will pop up there somewhere at the top. They will click on that, they will come to your website, and they will immediately think that this is, exactly what they need, and they will leave you a lead or purchase your product. But the question is, what keyword will the customer actually use? And this is something that we see time and again, our customers are kind of stumbling on. They're thinking about keywords that they would think about. But we need to look at this from the customer's point of view. So how do we find out what the customer is actually using? Well, the first thing we do is just educated guesses. Just write down every possible word or phrase that you can think of, right? So how do you describe your product or your services in various ways? What are the benefits and things like that? Just make guesses. And don't stop at just what's coming out of your own brain. Go and look at competitor sites, look at news articles, maybe reviews, things like that. Try to get different ideas. And then there are tools. For example, you can sign up for a free version of the Google Ads Keyword Planner. And there are paid tools like ahrefs.com, ahrefs.com. They also have very cheap versions. And on these type of tools, they can tell you how many people are actually using these keywords on a monthly basis. And you can look by, for example, how many people are using it in Taiwan, Hong Kong, US, wherever it happens to be that your customers are. And then you can find out how much competition there is, how many other websites are targeting these keywords. And by doing that, you can hopefully find a balance where you can find keywords that not so many other companies have found or thought about, but that are used by customers. And what do we do with these keywords? Well, one of the things we will do is SEO, search engine optimization. And what is that? Well, basically, it's a process of creating content and managing your websites in such a way that Google will rank your website at the top of the search results for keywords that your customer is using. Okay, there is no super secret code to this, but basically we need to create really great content. Now, one of the key things here that a lot of people forget about is to look at what is the search intent for this keyword. I can give an example. For ENSPYRE, for example, I would say that the word telemarketing in Taiwan would be a perfect way of explaining what we do. And I would assume that, a customer who needs telemarketing will search for telemarketing. But that's actually not true. A person who goes in Taiwan and types in the word telemarketing, they are actually searching for a job in telemarketing. Okay, now how did I find that out? Well, I go and I search for 电话行销 in Chinese, and I look at the top 10 results that are there. And, basically Google is telling me that the search intent for that keyword basically is to look for a job in telemarketing. So that means that I have to go and look for another keyword that my customers might be using. Okay, and then again, I have to look and see, how do I create really valuable content for that keyword? And this is one of the things I really like about SEO. But I am getting rewarded for providing something quality. There is nothing sneaky about it. I have to write good content that my customers wants to read. And by doing that, Google will reward me. Another thing we need to do is to create or encourage the linking from other websites to my websites, to your websites, using these keywords. One way, of course, would be to get news media to write about you, for example, and saying that your company is a fantastic source of something. Another one would be to work with your friends. Turn around and ask your good friend who has a website to make a link to your website. Exchange links. All of that is done because Google is seeing all of those links as a vote of confidence, saying that, okay, if all these people are linking to your website, they must be doing something right. They must be an honorable company. Something else we can do with those keywords is we can advertise on them. And of course, the most common place to do that would be Google. So Google's selling ads on keywords. So as I'm sure you have seen, somebody goes to Google, they type in a term, and the first maybe 2, 3, 4 search results are actually ads, right? And then comes the what we call the organic search results. So again, you have thought about that keyword, you have figured out which keyword you think the customers are using, and that's what you're advertising on. Now, Google also provides what they call display ads, which would be like, let's say you're selling something to people who are interested in cars, and then you can go on Google and you can advertise specifically on websites that are related to cars, something like that, right? Now, SEO, like I talked about earlier, that takes some time. You have to create a lot of content. It might take 6 months before all of the work that you're putting in with making content and making links will really take hold. But of course, ads, because you're spending the money, you could sign up for an account today and start having visibility, in 2 hours or so, right? And it's also a good way you can let the advertising and the results from there kind of guide you towards what you should be doing in terms of SEO, what kind of content people are interested in, and so on. And Facebook. I think, especially in Taiwan, we can't get away from Facebook. Um, you probably do need a company page, even if you are B2B, right? You need to, if you're a small company and you're not doing a whole lot of things, well, then, Facebook and LinkedIn and so on can be a good place to show that your company's alive, right? That you are actually doing things and so on. And you can also advertise on Facebook. And on Facebook, you don't use keywords per se. You're advertising based on demographics and interests. So it's a little bit more like the display ads via Google. But ENSPYRE has used Facebook ads very successfully for some of our more B2C related customers. Emails. I talked about it earlier, but I want to talk about it again. Don't forget about emails. Again, I mentioned that with social media, even if you might have 1,000 followers, Facebook is not going to show your post to all those followers because they want you to spend money on advertisements. However, if you can get people signed up to an email list, then you have a direct channel to them every week, every month, whatever you think is suitable. So make sure to use an opt-in subscription. So somebody comes to your website and you ask them politely if they want to sign up. And if they say yes, well, then you have, the green light to send them information. And, another way, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, but you can call people, just call them up, ask them if they want some information and would they, be okay with receiving your information. If they are really the right type of customer, they probably will say yes. You do want to use professional email service. So there's like MailChimp, SendGrid, or if you're using a CRM system, you can most of the time you can send directly via them. Because using, let's say Outlook or Gmail or something to send a bunch of emails is hard to manage, and you're not going to have any of that tracking information we talked about earlier. Another type of advertising that is very interesting is remarketing. I'm sure you've all seen it. You visit the website and then you go on and let's say go and read some news like I have on the screen here, CNN, and suddenly you start seeing advertisements everywhere for that website that you just visited. This is a great way to remind people about what you are doing and so on, especially if your products are such that maybe the sales cycle is long, or they might not need it right now, but they are researching a project or something like that. And this is also, again, where I think that making phone calls to your customers, especially if you're B2B. So let's say, for example, that your products are such that in Taiwan, for example, just as an example, you only have maybe 100 people that, or even less, that really could be making the decision about buying your products or services. Well, buying advertisements and potentially, reaching, let's say, thousands of people just to reach 100, well, that can be very expensive. But what if you first call these people? You identify who they are, and you call them, and you talk to them about what you're doing, and you send them an email, and then, in the emails there's a link to their website, and it leads back to, now you can advertise to them. So now you can remind them who you are and what you do, and follow up. You wouldn't believe how many customers we have that receive leads and then never call them or email them again. It's like they are happy to spend the money on, they think they should be doing some kind of marketing, but then when they receive those leads, they don't follow up. Please don't do this. You need to make sure that the efforts that you are spending money on, that it's has a proper return on investment, and the only way to do that is by following up. So this was supposed to be 20 minutes. So my conclusion here is, online is just one more channel to reach your customers, and pretty much every company today should be using online marketing. It really, if you're not doing it, I'm really wondering why. And you need to get the basic infrastructure right first, right? Track and evaluate. Make sure that you're understanding and accumulating data on what's working and what's not. And then, as you are doing that, as you are looking at the numbers, you can more and more do the actions that are actually turning into dollars for your company, right? Now, when you're starting out, you do have to spend some money and quite some effort on getting things up and running. If you're spending 1,000 NT on advertising, you're not going to get any, real actionable data about what keywords work and what turns into lead. You're going to have to spend a little bit of money. But, in many cases, that amount can then decrease as you are getting better and better at understanding what customers are really interested in. So we're moving on to, Q&A time. But before we get started with that, we are happy to offer a free digital marketing report. So any of you who would like, you can scan that QR code and just fill in a little questionnaire about your company and something about your competitors and so on. And we will use, or my team will, I'm volunteering their time, so they will be doing the work on researching your company and so on, and give you an evaluation about what your company is doing. Let me switch over here so I can see the questions. So Sonia asked here if we can share the free tools. Absolutely. I'll be happy to share an email to all the participants. I assume CCIFT have all of the emails, so I can send that out by email. And then we have a questions. What is the average amount needed to start an online strategy for a company? Well, that's really, it's just about impossible to say just an amount. But if I were going to start, I would say if you're going to do this by yourself, right, you probably have to schedule in, quite a few hours of your time in terms of researching all this stuff and setting it all up. And I would say starting, let's say, advertising somewhere in the range of 10, 15,000 NT, less than that, then you're probably not gonna, get any actionable data, right? And of course, it all depends on what kind of keywords that you're going after, but you do need to start somewhere, and you need to start accumulating some information about, the keywords, and uh, you also, I mean, we haven't talked, for example, about your website, and it's, a lot of people look at your website and they will think about the design first. For me, um, the key point about a website is, does it convert into customer leads, right? And and again, it's not your opinion that matters, it's the customers. So by starting to advertise, you're starting to lead people to that website, and you can now start making some kind of decisions about if it seems like people are liking uh, what your website looks like, and the information that is on there. So I would say, I mean, if I just have to give you a number, I would say 10, 15,000 NT a month is pretty much a minimum to kind of start having some number of customers coming to the website and making some decisions. Any more questions? I realize that, 20 minutes is not a very long time to talk about all this and all the tools and all of this stuff. But, if somebody's interested, you can always contact us. But start by clicking the QR code there, or scanning that and leaving your information so we can help you. That's for free. All right. Do we have any more questions? Or, I'm sure you joined this. Everybody, you probably have a website. Um, if I were able to see all, I would say, ask you how many of you are actually getting, you know, leads and so on via your website. Do you feel like the website is paying for itself? Oh, for sure. You can share my email in the chat box. Yes. One of you can type in my email address there. Ah, yeah, Sonia, I understand. Okay, yeah. So please also share the link to the questionnaire. So Ming, like I said, it really matters from case to case. We have cases where we spend maybe 10,000 NT. We have cases where we spend, in some cases we spent as much as 1 million NT in 1 month. But like I said, in the very beginning, I think if you can find maybe 10 to 15,000 NT in the very beginning, um, I think that would be a good place to start, because that way you can start getting some feedback on what keywords work, and so on. And of course, maybe depending on how many searches there are and so on, you might end up being able to spend less than that, or you might end up getting how shall I put it? you might end up, getting so many leads that, it's easy to, you're earning the money so you can spend more, you know. That's the best thing, right? You're starting to get the positive return on investment, and suddenly the spending is not a problem anymore. How long time does it take to set up online marketing? Um, we usually, for most of our customers, I would say that from that we sign a contract, it takes us usually about 2 months to set up all of the, what I call the infrastructure, where all the tracking and all of that stuff. And of course, in terms of you know work time, it doesn't take that much time. But you know, most people don't really have full control over their websites. They don't really know who is managing it, and you know who's controlling the URL and things like that. So uh, it usually takes maybe, yeah, about maybe 2 months to kind of get everything ready, doing the keyword research, um, and all of that stuff. And then you can kind of start executing on that with writing content, starting to put out ads, and so on. And making these ads and all of that, that's an ongoing process. Same thing. You will make an ad, you will see if it works, preferably making several ads at the same time. And there's a concept of A/B testing that you should also research. A/B testing. Basically, what it means is that you're, let's say, putting out uh, one ad that leads to two different pages on your website, and then you see which one of those web pages turns into leads better. Because again, your opinion doesn't matter; it's your customers' opinion that matters. Any more questions coming up? What's what problems have you guys encountered when you've tried to do any uh, marketing in the past? What is it that is the hardest with conceptualizing who your customers are, maybe, or how to reach them? How to quantify the results of digital marketing? How to know if we are doing a good job? Well, I mean, that's really the beauty of digital marketing, the fact that we can track, somebody from the very beginning. Let's say you're posting something on Facebook and, somebody liking it, and then they click on the link, they come on your website, they contact you, or they make a purchase, and we can actually, see, that you spending the time making that post or making that ad will turn into a sale or a lead. And we can quantify that exactly with what the benefit is, how much money they're spending, and so on. And let's see, if you have to choose one way of digital marketing, which one would you choose? Ooh, I mean, I don't think I should choose any type of marketing. There are so many different, and the question is, how do you best reach your customers? But if I still had to pick one of the, let's say, the things that I have talked about today, then I would actually pick SEO, I think, because if you think about it, just about every one of us, when we are looking for a product or a service, we will go to Google and we will search for it. And the beautiful thing with SEO is that even though it takes often a lot of time and a lot of work to get ranked for a keyword, once you do that, once you are the best source of information for whatever the customer is looking for, you know, you tend to stay there for a while. Advertising, the value of the advertising disappears as soon as your budget is up. But SEO can remain there for quite a while if you're doing the job right. So yeah, if I have to pick one, I would probably work on the SEO. Commenting on marketing through Line. Honestly, we haven't done very much work with Line, but obviously, if you're and one of the reasons for that is that most of our customers are, they are targeting people in other countries, not so much in Taiwan. But I would say if you're, from what we have seen, if you're targeting people, in Taiwan and of course some of the other Asian countries, around here where Line usage is very, very big, you should definitely look into that. I know that these days you can kind of have a Line channel of your own for your corporation, and that's a good idea. There's also things like Line Pay and so on. So if you're doing more like B2C, you know, uh, go ahead and sign up for those type of tools that are within that, um, ecosystem that people are used to, right? Anything else? We are coming up on 35 minutes. I can imagine some of you had scheduled in 30. So if you need to go, you need to go. But I am ready and eager to answer more questions. Okay, well, it seems like maybe we have run through the questions that have come in. Oh, do I need to hire local people to do digital marketing? Well, obviously that all depends on if you are, are you targeting Taiwanese people? If the Taiwanese people are your customers, then I, very much suggest that you need to have local people, working for you or advising you or something. Um, we have seen it a lot in the past where, a lot of, especially foreign entrepreneurs, are trying to communicate with Taiwanese customers in English and so on. And even though, the local customer, maybe their English is very, very good, but they don't really want to speak English. They prefer Chinese. So in most cases, I would say you really do need to output good content in Chinese and think about, how the local customer wants to, wants what they want to read and so on. So, you know, maybe you as the foreign boss, for example, if that's the case, you can create a lot of the content, but I would strongly suggest that you need to find a local person to help you, localize it in some ways, you know. Also design, like if you take a brochure that is in English and then you just try to make it into Chinese, it cannot be, directly one to one. The designs have to change. The characters looks different, the length of words are different. So, and the preferences of, a Taiwanese customers over a French customer, for example, will be slightly different. It's not as big of a difference as it once used to be, but still. Um, and then a question from Quentin: is online marketing more effective for B2B or B2C? I would say it doesn't matter. Um, we have used it, very effectively for both B2B and B2C customers. Of course, you have to think about it differently. There's nearly always going to be more B2C customers, right? So when you do your research and you're coming up with your keywords, there's nearly always going to be more people using a specific keyword if it's B2C. And that to some extent makes it a little bit easier to advertise and so on. But B2B, like I said, we have customers like Folcrom, for example. The number of the number of people around the world that can make a decision about buying, these arms for hospitals are very, very, very few. You know, uh, maybe a few hundred, maybe a few thousand at the very, very most. And we have been using online marketing very effectively to connect with these people. And like I said, for example, using some of the remarketing methods to keep on making sure that they might be researching, this solution now, and might be another half a year or a year before the hospital is actually ready to pull the plug and or starting to work on this project. And we need to make sure that when they kind of start revisiting that project that they researched way back when, that they remember our customer. So I would say, online marketing is for everybody. It's just that you have to do it differently. Does good SEO mean ranking high for certain keywords? Does it mean more income? How does it really help my company and sales? Well, just ranking high for a keyword is not important, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you want to make money, right? So that's why you need to do the keyword research, so that you are actually ranking high for the right keywords that your customers are using, and they are clicking through and coming to your website and contacting you, right? So that's the whole point of any marketing, any sales, is to reach the right people and using the channels that they are used to, right? So same thing. You can also see are people more likely to use desktop or mobile, and if so, if it's all mobile, is your website set up properly for mobile? It's all about putting out your message in the best way so that you're reaching the customer that you need, right? And that should then help your company by achieving more income. All right.
Okay, thank you very much, Elias.
You're welcome.
If we have more questions, we will stop the webinar here. And I guess you can check into chat room. So there is Elias' email. There is also the link to the survey in order to get your free digital marketing report. We would like to thank everyone for this webinar and to participate to this webinar. And we hope you will follow more webinars. We have a second one tomorrow about logistics. And right now we can also access webinar of the Asia Pacific region with other chambers. So feel free to follow our webinar newsletter, Feel free to contact Elias if you have more needs about digital marketing. And thank you very much, Elias. We were very pleased to have this presentation done by you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much.